We're up and running. Another episode. What episode is this?
Number X.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like 24. I think we've done about 23 of these so far, and this is the 24th. Something like that. 24, 25, around there.
Yeah, makes sense. It's been about 6 months since we are doing this, right?
Something like that. Do you think we were going to last this long?
Mm. To be honest, I never kept any goal. We didn't have any goal, right? So we never knew how long this is going to go on.
Yeah, I mean, I think we came with the goal of like, got to do it for at least 6 months to know whether or not things should pivot or things should change, and um,
Now I
yeah,
remember.
yeah, that kind of thing. But other than that, no other particular goal that I can remember that we came up with.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I remember that we had discussed in 6 months we will pivot the format for.
Yeah. Do you think we should reformat anything, or do you think we should keep everything exactly the same?
I haven't given it a thought, but we had discussed about it a few podcasts back that we should be focusing on what lonely people,
Yeah.
maniacs, and people interested in AI. So those
Yeah.
are going to be demographics.
People that are very bored,
Hmm.
that have nothing else to do. I mean, even then, I wouldn't understand why anybody would be listening to us, and that's why nobody is.
And most importantly, people who would find us interesting.
Yeah.
So our demographics would be somewhere in this region.
Zero people that would find us interesting, and that's why there's nobody viewing this. Maybe like one person. You get like one person viewing this, but I don't know why. Listen, if you are viewing this, just tell us why. Why in the world would you view this? Please give us some feedback. I'm very interested to find out, like, what's going on inside the head of anybody who would want
I
to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ideally we don't want you to comment anything, but just in case there is something specific that you think we should know, let us know.
Yeah, please. No, I'm genuinely interested. I'm genuine. Maybe I should be saying this more because we do get like one viewer, maybe two, sometimes four viewers. So I'm very interested. If you are watching this, please share with us why.
And how long are you watching it?
Yeah,
That's also a question. Like, are you staying till the end? Are you watching it for 5 minutes?
2 seconds. I think likely somebody clicks on like, oh, this might be interesting. They click on it. They're like immediately, nope, not interesting, and they turn it off.
I doubt that. I mean, YouTube must have some criteria to count it as a view, right?
I think
It
so.
cannot seconds as one view.
I don't know. I have no idea. I know there's analytics. I know we could go into the analytics and actually look at this thing, but I don't want to. And actually, I don't know if the analytics are truthful. So I want to get like actual real feedback from somebody.
Hmm.
Yeah. So tell me and Batman why why you're watching this. Why in the world would you watch us talk about random
Uh,
things that are only interesting to us?
I have no clue.
I have no clue either. But nonetheless, welcome to the 12-hour podcast, Amit. I always like to welcome you appropriately. So, yeah, good to have you here.
And same to you, Adam. How was your week? And first of all, I wanted to ask you about your interview.
Oh, yes. So, I don't know if I told you, but I was expecting to hear back um, by the end of the week whether or not, well, she said that we're going to move forward with an in person interview. So, I'm supposed to hear back by the end of the week and didn't, but I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. This is typically how things work. People say they're going to do certain things and they just don't for whatever reason. So yeah, so I'll wait. Today's a holiday here. It's like, it's called a civic holiday. It's just like a each province has their own holiday throughout all of Canada. I'm pretty sure at least most of the provinces do. And so I wouldn't expect I would hear back today, of course. But I'm going to wait tomorrow and see if I hear something by then. If not, I'll reach out on Wednesday and I'll just send her a note, basically saying something like, I know you mentioned that I'd be hearing back from somebody by the end of the week. And I just want to make sure that I didn't miss an email communication or some sort of communication, because that can happen sometimes. So, yeah, that type of message. Just, yeah, very gentle. A very gentle nudge to find out what's going on. And then we'll take it from there. Yeah.
But so as I said, these things happen very commonly. So
I think so.
interesting to discuss about this, but maybe later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, something else. What else did I ask?
Well,
How
you
was
asked
the
me
week?
what happened this week. So, or since last time we spoke. So, that's, I mean, nowadays, because I'm not really working, there's not much that I'm doing besides looking for a job, networking with people, and playing Daisy. I play a lot of Daisy, and maybe exercising, going for a bike ride to visit my parents. That's about it. That's all I really do. I don't do anything else. I eat. I go to the washroom. I go to sleep. I do sleep. I've been actually sleeping pretty good lately,
Nice.
which is great. Yeah, it's a big deal. So that's really it, man. How about you? What's been going on with you?
Yeah, but what do you think improved your sleep?
I think the glasses have something to do with it for sure. I do. Because when I start, like, every time when I wear the glasses and I wear them consistently, my sleep has improved tremendously. Every time. And every time I don't, I think to myself, I don't need to wear them. It's fine. Like, it's not really the glasses. And then my sleep becomes a serious problem again. So I really think it's the glasses. Whether it's completely psychological and me wearing the glasses makes me think that helps my sleep. So then, therefore, because I'm thinking that my sleep is improved by them, then my sleep is just improved by them because it's like a mindset thing. Or if it actually scientifically makes a difference. It's not just psychological.
Yeah, yeah, I can believe it's scientific. Yes, blue light and all. We have already discussed that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Or maybe it's a combination of both.
Mm, yeah,
Could be.
true.
Maybe.
Our mind something to pacify.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's what's up with that. But tell me what's been going on with you this week?
yeah. The same on my side. Like I haven't been doing many of new things. So my week was usual, few lectures a week. Then I'll be focusing on myself and my free time, focusing on music and watching shows, watching what sometimes a new movie or weekend out with friends, some time with family. Yeah, that's my usual week.
Okay. Cool. What were your lectures about? What did you teach in your lectures?
It's always physics. So this week, the topic that was going on was rotational dynamics.
Quotational dynamics or rotational dynamics?
Rotational dynamics.
Rotational.
Rotation.
Rotational dynamics. Okay. Things that rotate and how they rotate and why, and the mechanics behind rotation.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting. Things can rotate for a variety of different reasons.
That's true.
Something can be pulling on it, something can be pushing on it. There could be friction related or not enough friction, or there could be based upon momentum. It could be based. I'm just imagining. It could be based upon sort of some sort of force that's acting upon it, or maybe not acting upon it. Um, yeah, yeah. What else? What am I missing at a high level?
You're right on.
Okay.
But when it comes to rotation, we bring everything into one single quantity, and that is torque. So if you
Right.
have to begin a rotation, we say that you are supposed to apply some torque. Without torque, the rotation cannot begin.
Right. Torque is. I would get torque mixed up. So is torque the amount of force that needs to be applied to something to rotate it one full revolution?
It is similar to force, but the only difference is the force has to be applied at the center of the body.
Okay.
And when the force moves away from the center, it becomes torque.
Okay. So it moves away from the center by any amount.
Yes, it can be any amount. It can start becoming torque. So let's say I have this round object right here.
Yeah.
As long as I push it at the center, I am applying force. But the
Okay.
moment I apply force away from the center, it starts to spin.
Sure. Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that becomes that force essentially, some part of the force turns into torque.
Okay.
The further I move, it completely turns from force into torque.
So from the moment it turns into just a simple pushing force on it, and it actually forces it to rotate or to spin
Right.
or move, not just kind of linearly, but more with rotation, then that amount of force that's required in order to begin that item or that object in some sort of rotation, then that amount of force is known as torque. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
force multiplied by the distance, that is torque. Right now
Okay.
I'm applying and it is rotating.
Right. But okay, so I got something around. Okay.
Yeah. So you can hold it at the center with your index finger and thumb,
Yeah. And just
and then you can apply torque. Yeah.
But isn't there's going to be a different amount of force pushing on it if it's slightly like the amount of force would be different, wouldn't it? Like slightly above or below the center of the object versus say
Okay.
like way above it or way below it, right? The amount of force needed would be quite a bit different, wouldn't it?
Definitely. And that is why the formula is force into distance. So if it is a small distance, you may have to apply larger force.
Yeah.
And if the distance is large, you will need a you can see, you can feel it.
Yeah.
You will need very small force if you
Right.
are applying force away.
Right.
So force into distance, that will be torque. If you have large force, the distance can be small.
Right.
And if the force is small, the distance can be large.
So in a car, I'm wondering how this works in terms of like a car because cars often, they talk about horsepower and they talk about torque, right? In terms of the amount of power that a vehicle has. So when I talk about torque, like what is the thing they're talking about in terms of like what's the thing that's rotating? Is it sort of the pistons of the engine? They're talking about sort of like the rotation of like going from one piston to the next to the next to the next in terms of them how they move in order. Is it some other like is it a gear of some sort? Is it like the flywheel? Is it the tires? Like what are they talking about? Like what's the object that they're talking about in terms of rotation for a car that determines the amount of torque?
To be honest, it's very difficult to determine the torque in a car. So they don't really talk about the torque in exact sense, but they talk about power,
Okay.
bhp, the horsepower.
Right.
Usually, the car power is measured in horsepower, and that is basically the power of the engine.
Yeah.
And that can be translated or converted with few calculations into the torque of the car.
Okay. Interesting. But again, torque has to do with like rotational force, like the force that's applied to an object that causes it to rotate.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Okay. So then that's so cool that I can actually explain that. So now, uh, like if they're going to talk about like torque, then they must be talking about something that's rotating within the vehicle.
Yeah.
Right, but what is the thing that they're referring to in terms of the item that's rotating? I don't know.
Asking about source of the force.
The force of the force. Really, is it?
Source of the force.
The source of the force.
You're asking about that, right?
Yeah, the source of the force. That's right. The source of the force.
Okay. So the source is the gas force, the gas that is being burned inside the engine.
Okay.
So when it burns, it explodes and it pushes the piston back, and that generates the force that drives the car.
Okay. So it's the amount of force needed in order to have the pistons begin to move, essentially, I guess.
Begin to move, I don't think so, because it can move with a small force as well, but it generates a lot of force because
Yeah.
it's an explosion.
Yeah.
It's a contained explosion.
Hmm. So then, so then in my mind, that means that torque can be like on this object, I can use a lot of torque to rotate it or just a little bit of torque to rotate it, even if it's even in relation to the same distance away from the center.
Yes.
I can make a choice as to how much torque I want to use in order to rotate this.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so that's different than how I was imagining it in my mind. I was imagining it in terms of like the minimum amount of force required, the minimum amount of torque required in order to move this. So maybe there is sort of that is part of the measurement too, because you see those graphs, right? The power and torque graphs that like as you put a car in a dyno, right?
Mm-hmm.
The machine that tells you how much horsepower you're getting out of it and how much torque you're getting out of it, right? And then it kind of moves up, right? So I guess in order to continuously get the car to move faster, that requires more torque.
Exactly.
And then you get to a certain point where you don't need as much torque, or it kind of drops off, or it stabilizes, right? Because it doesn't matter how much more, like I guess you can't put any more force into the object. It's not possible to put any more force into it to get it to, there's just no more force that can be applied. Like it's just you reach a maximum, I guess.
Right.
So I guess when they're giving you the numbers, it's probably the maximum amount of possible torque that you can put into the system.
Agreed. Yeah. There is a maximum force that the engine can generate.
Can handle. Yeah. Aha. Aha. Yes. Okay.
And somewhere you figure it out by yourself. The equation for power is actually torque into velocity.
Oh, by the way, we have somebody who's nice enough on, because we're on, this person doesn't know, but well, you know this, we're streaming, of course, on Twitch, all these episodes that we do, and then we post them up on YouTube. And this is the first time that somebody's actually responding on Twitch. Can you believe it? We actually have somebody who's messaging us on Twitch that says, "Is this a talk show or a torque show?" Good one.
Torque?
A torque show. Very witty. Very, very witty.
So they are using pun. I love pun.
Yeah. That's a good pun. I like it. That's actually what we're going to name. I think that's what we should name this podcast. Today's episode, Torque Show. So thank
Thank
you,
you.
Emma. Her name, her tag is Emma Online. So thank you, Emma. That's very nice of you to help us come
Is
up
it
with it.
Emma?
Emma, EMMA.
Thank you, Emma.
Mhm.
And we'll let you know what. How do we tag her?
Um, oh, we can tag Emma. That's a great idea. So as we post this up on YouTube, we'll tag you, Emma, in the episode. She's saying something else. Will this actually go on for 12 hours? If so, let me get my snacks. Okay, that's good.
You
Um,
never know.
you never know how long this will go on for, Emma. Emma, if you just hang out, maybe we will do 12 hours tonight. Well, for you, it's the morning. So,
For you, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. But for me, and maybe for Emma, it might be the nighttime. So, I'm okay to stay up all night. If Emma wants to hang out, well, I'll stay up the whole night. I have no problem with that. But I think you'll probably have to go and do stuff today now.
We'll see about that.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if
We
Emma's hanging out,
we can modify our schedule for our viewers.
yeah, absolutely. So I'm literally typing in, just so I don't forget, Torque Show, and I'm going to write at Emma Online. So Emma, you're more than welcome. Oh, it is 7:45 p.m. and I'm ready to go. That's what Emma says. Okay, cool. Well, right now it's 10:42 here, and what time is it there now, Ahmed, in India?
8:12, 8:12 p.m.
8:12. Okay,
AM.
p.m.
AM.
a.m. That makes more sense. Yeah, I was going to say. So that means that Emma is on the Pacific coast. Emma is somewhere 3 hours behind. No, that's more than 3 hours behind. That's 4 hours. So I have no clue where Emma is. Is that 3 hours or 4 hours? No, 3 hours. It's 3 hours. My math is so bad. It's so late at night that I can't do math anymore. I can understand torque, but I can't do simple math. All right. So, Emma, if you want, you're more than welcome to find us on YouTube, the 12 Hour Podcast. It's called 12 Hour Podcast, I think, right? But also don't find us on YouTube because our whole thing here, I should let Emma know. Our whole thing here is don't subscribe to this channel, don't comment, don't like, don't ping the notification bell. We're trying to make sure we set ourselves way apart from every other channel out there on YouTube. And I think the best way to do that is to not ask you to do any of the things that every other channel asks you to do. But at the same time, come on by and hang out, and we're happy to have you and all that kind of stuff. So, Ahmed, anything else did I miss anything?
Yeah. We can ask Emma to leave a comment. But don't watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, leave a comment. Why are you watching it?
Yeah.
Why? Just
Yeah. Leave a
why?
comment on YouTube.
They're really curious to know.
Leave a comment on YouTube on this video and tell us why you're watching us. Why in the world? Why are you still here? Like, like, I don't get it. Why would anybody want to watch us talking about stuff?
Emma gonna look forward for
Yeah.
your.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. So you were teaching about torque. What else were you? What other lectures did you give? Your physics lectures. Tell me more about them. It's interesting.
Okay, so this was one of the topics. The second one was what? It was radiation. Yeah, that
Radiation. Okay, radiation's an interesting one.
radiation. It's not the exactly the ionizing radiation. We are talking about thermal radiation.
Thermal. Okay. So temperature radiation.
So this bottle is a very good example of that. Yeah. So thermosteel. That's a steel bottle, right?
Yes, this is
Double
steel.
wall.
I think it's steel. Steel.
Okay. Is it double walled?
I have no idea.
Does it keep water warm
It
for
does
like
keep
12?
it. Yeah. So it does keep water warm, and I know that. So probably is. And it has air in between, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a thermosteel. Uh, so these kind of bottles are basically designed to prevent radiation
Mm.
or reduce thermal radiation.
Yes, things radiating out, the temperature radiating out of the liquid that you put in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you have a single wall bottle, this has a single wall steel,
Yeah.
the heat is gonna lose out in what, 30 minutes?
Something like that. Why would somebody get a single wall versus like double wall? Makes sense. Why would somebody get a single wall?
Yeah, it's okay. It can be for multiple uses. Like if you do not want to use plastic, you have to use steel or some other material
Right, but why would you use a single walled thermos? Like
for
because
regular use.
what do you mean by
This is just
regular use? Because this is still regular use. Like I'm using this for just regular everyday use, and it's double walled.
I I use this for warm water and this for regular
Regular. When you say regular, do you mean like room temperature water?
temperature. Yeah,
Ah, okay, I see. But you could still use a double walled thermos for room temperature water too.
we can, but the thing is, if you drop this, it's gonna lose its insulation. So you have to be careful with its use. So you
Okay.
cannot be using it all the time because then the chances of dropping it is much higher.
Ah, okay. We got an interesting question from Emma. She's saying, for us amateurs, what defines a thermos from other water bottles? I think a water bottle is just like like it's just something that you use to like you can kind of
Drink,
like store it, but
like,
you drink directly out of it, I suppose. And it's not really meant to. I guess it could keep your liquids insulated to some extent, but maybe not too well. I don't know why somebody would use a water bottle. I guess because maybe you can squeeze it. Water bottles are usually something you can squeeze so you can get the liquid out a little bit easier.
I think for regular use,
Yeah.
people always use water bottles.
Hmm.
Like this used to be a water bottle. Like
Hmm.
this is a water bottle.
Hmm.
It can be used for drinking regular water at any time. It's packaged water.
Yeah.
This is a sipper. This is a thermos.
Yeah.
So yeah, to answer it simply, all thermos are water bottles, but not all water bottles are thermos.
Ah, good one. I like that. I like that. That was really good. That was a nice explanation. Yeah, it's true. Because a water bottle is typically something that you would like drink directly out of, but you could drink directly out of a thermos too. It would have maybe a spout on it that you would suck the liquid out of. Um, and it's kind of in the name itself, it's a water bottle. So you typically just put water in it. But a thermos, you could put anything in it. I mean, I guess you could put anything in a water bottle too. You could put soup in there, I guess, if you really wanted to. Why not, right? But if you want to keep it hot, then you'd put it in a double walled thermos. But then why not just use a thermos for everything? Like you don't really need a water bottle. You just if you have a double walled thermos, it'll cover every type of circumstance, especially if it's one that has a spout that you can drink directly out of. Yeah.
Yeah. So the common reason would be expense. Like this one comes a lot cheaper, and this one is much expensive.
Hmm.
One reason is that. The other is, as I explained earlier, if this is dropped even once, it can lose its insulation, and then it is irreparable. It becomes a normal water bottle after that.
Right.
I have another bottle here which I had dropped many times, and eventually it lost its insulation.
Ah. Okay.
Now I use it as a water bottle, not a thermos.
Okay. So, do you even, when in your class, you're giving a lecture about thermal radiation, do you also talk about like thermal radiation, let's say, in an explosion?
Not really, but we can discuss that example. In an explosion, there are multiple kinds of radiation. Thermal radiation is, in fact, much lesser.
Okay.
The other radiations that come out during those explosions are ionizing radiation, alpha rays, beta rays, gamma rays. So those are much more harmful than heat.
Right.
As you know, if you come into contact with these kinds of rays, your cells begin to damage, and eventually the person can have a condition that we call as cancer.
Okay. Okay, gotcha.
So heat is something that you can prevent yourself from, right? But these things, cancer and ionizing radiation, they are much more dangerous because they cannot be handled that easily.
Okay. Um, Emma's also asking. Emma is like our guest for sure of the entire time that we've been doing this. This is Emma. You're our first ever. How's it feel to know that you're our first ever guest? We've been actually, this is our, I think, a 24th, 25th episode now, and we've never had anybody
No,
be a guest. So this is fantastic to have you here. Anyway, so Emma asked, so is temperature radiation? And yeah, so she's wondering that first and foremost. Is temperature just like another way to explain temperature is radiation? I think temperature is just something different than radiation, right? Like radiation is sort of the temperature that is kind of affects the the objects that are, it's sort of like almost like a response system. It's like it affects the surrounding objects that it interacts with. And that interaction is known as radiation. Whereas temperature is just sort of like a measurement more than anything else. More like, we measure it, of course, in degrees. But so it's a way to measure the amount of heat or not, or lack of heat, I suppose. That's temperature. But radiation is something different. It's the amount of heat loss, I suppose.
that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Adam has explained it well. Temperature is something that you can measure directly using
Yes.
a thumb,
Right.
but radiation is not that direct. Radiation is the energy that it is losing, and it is invisible. Now, interesting thing is, if you increase the temperature, the radiation will increase, of course.
Mm.
But can you guess by what factor? So if I double the temperature,
Yeah.
how much do you think? If I double the temperature of a body, how many times more the radiation becomes? Can you guess that?
Oh, this is a good question. Let's see. Let's Emma will take a guess if you can, and I will take a guess. And I'm not going to look at what you say quite yet until I come up with my answer. So you're saying if you take something and you double its temperature, so it goes, let's say, from 50 degrees to 100 degrees.
Uh, Actually, we use Kelvin in that case.
Okay.
So from the 300 Kelvin to 600 Kelvin.
Okay. So 300 Kelvin to 600 Kelvin. So you're
Yeah.
doubling the heat,
No, we are doubling the temperature.
or doubling the temperature. Sorry, doubling the temperature. My bad. Um, and how much will that affect the radiation? Essentially, is what you're asking. Like, what's the ratio of of temperature increase? In this case, double. Because I would imagine there's like there's obviously a formula for this, and I bet it's not always. I don't imagine it's sort of the type of ratio that's always the same, right? I imagine that if you decrease or increase by a certain amount, that affects how much radiation you're actually getting. How much more or like the amounts are different. So if I double, maybe it's this much radiation, but if I, let's say, triple, it's not just, let's say for example, if it's, I'm thinking out loud right here. So if it's, let's say, double the temperature, it's not necessarily double the radiation. If it's double the temperature, or sorry, triple the temperature, it's not necessarily triple the radiation. So there's probably some sort of formula. I'm going to guess, though. I'm going to guess. Let's see. Something tells me that if it's like whatever amount you're increasing the temperature by, you take about half, give or take half of the amount that you increased by, and that's how much more radiation you're getting.
What would be your answer?
So if it's double, then you're getting 1.5 times the amount of radiation. Not getting 2 times, you're getting about 1.5. That's what I'm going to guess.
Right. Has Emma guessed something?
Whoa, Emma wrote a whole bunch of stuff. So let's see. So Emma wrote double 30 isn't 50. I'm not sure what she means by that, but she also wrote E equals, I don't know what symbol that is, and then something T4. So a symbol T4, it increases in accordance with Planck's law. Okay. The formula is Stefan Boltz, proportional to the fourth power of the absolute temperature. And she said you said that earlier. Do you know what she means by that?
Yeah. So she clearly is a science student. She knows the law of radiation.
Or
So
she ChatGPT'd it.
That's okay too.
That's okay, yeah.
So E is emissive power and sigma is a constant. That's the symbol that you were saying is sigma. And T raised to 4 is temperature raised to 4. So
Okay, yeah, it's like an O with a little thingamajiggy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Greek letter, sigma.
She wrote calm down sunglasses. Okay. We're already friends. Emma is already my friend.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. And by the way, these are not sunglasses.
Oh, is she asking about the glasses?
Well, she said calm down sunglasses. She called me sunglasses. So these aren't sunglasses. These are blue light reflectors. Yeah. Get it right. Get it right.
Yeah, if you want to know more about them, you can watch our previous podcast.
Yeah, or I can just tell you to save you the time. Because why would you want to watch? You don't want to watch other things. Like, you're already watching this. And goodness gracious, I can't even believe you're watching this. And you probably don't want to watch too much more of this. But so these are blue light reflectors. I wear them because I believe anyways that they help me produce or regulate my melatonin so that way I can sleep properly at night. And again, I don't know if it's psychological or if it actually does work, maybe a little bit of a mixture of both. But for whatever reason, I'm sleeping better. I do sleep better when I use them versus when I don't. So that's what that's all about. So they're not sunglasses, okay?
Yeah, and they are working for him.
Yeah. Okay, so interesting.
The answer. So if you double the temperature, you're actually going to increase the radiation by 16 times.
16 times.
2
That's a
raised
lot.
to 4, 16.
Wow. Okay, that's quite a bit. So essentially sigma is the amount that you increase the temperature by, right? And then we lost Amit for a second there. So I'm guessing we're going to ask him when he comes back to make sure. But I think sigma is the amount that the temperature increased by, and then you're multiplying that by 4, essentially, no matter what. No, that doesn't make sense because he said 16. We have to ask him when he comes back. I don't know where he went, but he went somewhere. And yeah, so anyways, to tell you, Emma, a little bit more about this podcast. So Amit and I met on an app where it's for people like trying to help other people, essentially. Oh, there he is. Okay, Amit, I'm telling Emma our backstory, how we met, how we know each other. So,
Okay, I just came back. I had to get my charger.
no problem. So I'm just telling Emma how we met, how we know each other. So we met because we're using the same app, an app where you help other people. And then sometimes you just talk about some things that are on your mind, some things that are
It's
bothering
an app
you.
that just can talk to each other. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's how we.
Yeah. So, anyways, we were chatting on there, and then we were talking about like podcasting. And Amit was like, "I want to start a podcast," and I said, "Well, like I've done some podcasting before," and he's like, "Well, maybe we can do something together." And I was like, "Okay, that's kind of interesting. Sure, why not? Let's try it out." And that was like 6 months ago, and we do this pretty much every week, the same around the same day, same time. We record just whatever's on our mind. We never know what we're going to talk about. It's always random. And then we just post it up on YouTube. And we talk for about an hour and a half, give or take. Sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more. And the reason why we called this the 12-hour podcast is because there's, give or take, a difference of time between the two of us. There's about a 12-hour difference of time in between like India and where I am, which is Toronto in Canada. So we figured the 12-hour podcast would be, it just sounded kind of cool. So here we are. And we have also talked about the idea of maybe one day doing an actual 12-hour long podcast. But maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that if we reach how many subscribers? Maybe Emma can come up with a number with us. Maybe we can include Emma on the number. What do you think, Amit? How many subscribers do you think we would need to get in order to do a 12-hour podcast?
I would say somewhere around 1200, because
Oh.
then it is likely that at least 12 people will be with us for 12 hours.
So sorry, did you say 12 subscribers or 1,200 subscribers?
We want 12 viewers. So for that, we will need 1200 subscribers.
Yeah, because it's about 10%. I agree. Okay.
When,
Yeah, is that 1%? That's 1%. Yeah, because 10% would be 120. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. So again, my math is horrible. I like that number. Let's see what Emma thinks. Emma, what do you think? How many subscribers should we have in order to do a 12-hour long podcast? That's if Emma's still listening to us, which I wouldn't really blame her at all if she was like, I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to bother at all. So we'll wait for that response. And in the meantime, so we're talking about radiation. And, so I was asking you, so what is sigma equal again? I'm not following that part of it. What's sigma?
sigma is just a constant. Usually the constants are determined with practical experiments. So
Okay.
it's named after the scientist who found the number.
Okay.
And in this case, it's Stephen and Boltzmann. So that's why it's called Stephen-Boltzmann constant.
Oh, okay. The Stephen or Stefan?
I think it's Stephen. I mean,
Okay.
that's what I've been pronouncing it.
Okay. So in this case, though, if my math is correct, sigma would equal 2. If the
Not
temperature
really.
increases by double, right? So I would put a 2 for the letter T, right? Is that how it works?
T is the temperature. So if you're doubling the temperature,
Okay.
you would write T instead of T.
You would write 1 step T?
2.
2, yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, so in this case, T is 2, which also mean that sigma is 2 as well.
Now, sigma will always remain the same, which is 5.67 into 10 raised to minus 8.
Oh, okay. So then, how did you get 16?
So if you replace T with 2T, and then you find the fourth power of it.
Oh, because it's to the 4th power. Okay, because the way it was written, gotcha. So that makes sense. Because the way it's written down in front of me, I guess, because obviously you can't put the 4th power there so easily when you're typing it out. It looked like it was T times 4 because it just said T4. So I was imagining it was T times 4. So what I was thinking is T is 2. That's 8. And you were saying the radiation is 16. So then in my mind, then you go, well, then sigma must also be a 2. That's how I did my math. But okay, so that makes more sense. So it's to the 4th power. All right. Gotcha.
T
All
raised to.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Very cool. All right. Interesting. I'm learning a lot. I'm not going to remember any of that, by the way.
That's okay. But
Yeah.
it's interesting to learn.
Mm.
And the most interesting thing is about radiation that we cannot completely stop it, right?
Right.
That is why this bottle loses heat after 12 hours.
Right. Okay.
Now, if we could find a way to make a bottle that could trap all the heat, 100% of it, then that would be amazing
Mm.
because I can make tea once and I can drink that tea forever.
Mm.
I won't have to make tea ever again. I'll just buy a big thermos, fill it with tea, have a tap on it, and just drink tea from it every day.
Except you're not thinking about something. So the chance, I mean, if you can sustain the tea at 100 degrees Celsius, then okay. But if it's any bit less than that, at some rate, there's going to be bacteria that grows in it.
Yeah,
Right?
that's why we're assuming that it has to be 100%.
Yeah, it has to
It
be
cannot be.
100 degrees Celsius at all times, not even a tiny bit below that. But the chances of being able to sustain that temperature exactly, like, because you got to factor in, okay, so how'd you get it in there, right? So you'd have to come up with a thermos that you can actually boil it inside the thermos. Because as soon as you take the water that's boiling and you pour it into the thermos, you've already lost some of the heat. So you have to somehow either transfer the water. It's pretty much impossible. It's an impossible task.
No, it can be done. It can be done. But again, it's theoretical for now because we really don't have a container that can hold 100% of the heat. That's a big challenge.
Right, but even if you
Even if
did,
we did, then there will be ways to, produce tea at 120 degrees, pass it, transfer it to the bottle. There will be ways to do that.
maybe, could be, could be.
It's like pressure cooker. Even though the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius, we can still heat the water to 200 degrees Celsius if we are heating it inside a pressure cooker.
Okay,
So
okay,
there are ways to go beyond.
okay. All right. All right. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so what else? What else were you teaching this week in your lectures? Radiation, torque.
What else? What else? So the third was sound.
Sound. Sound's an interesting one.
So it was just the basic of waves actually. So first we have to cover the concept of wave, what a wave is, what are the characteristics of a wave, and then you slowly move on to sound because sound is type of a wave.
Yeah, is sound the waves itself, or is sound what's processed by a sensory system? Like, sound is the waves that are processed by some sort of sensory system. Isn't that what sound is? Sound exists, like, for example, in here, in my head, right? Sound isn't something like by itself, like something that if I move this, so there's a bunch of particles that hit other particles, and those hit other particles and hit other particles, and so on. And that's all that's really happening. But eventually, that hits some sort of sensory system, in this case being my brain, and then I translate that set of particles hitting itself and then eventually hitting my ear. and getting processed by my brain, and that creates then a sound.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But without the sensory system, there is no sound. This sort of process all by itself and just waves of particles hitting each other, that's not really sound at all, is it?
Exactly. So yes, sound is a perception, and that perception is made by our ears. But until it reaches our ears, it is a wave in the air. When it is traveling, it travels in a form of wave,
Mm,
and then at the end of its journey, it becomes a perception, and
exactly.
that is
That's
sound
it.
wave.
Okay.
And that is how people led to ask this question.
What is sound? Yeah.
The
Okay.
tree falls in the woods. Does it make a sound?
If no one's there to hear it, then I suppose it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
If no
But it does make
sensory system is there to pick it up, then no, it doesn't make a sound.
yeah, but it does make a sound wave.
It makes the wave that could be picked up by a sensory system in order to be able to process it such that it is perceived as a sound.
Yeah, so that's the conundrum. That is why Quan, like we had talked about Quan, right?
I think so. I forget. I remember that word. I just forgot what it was about. You have to remind me.
It's basically a philosophical question that can make you ponder.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You're pronouncing it, I think, differently than how I would pronounce it. A qualm. A qualm? Is that what you?
Quan is Quan, Koan is how it's I guess.
K-O-A-N. I thought it was Q-U-A-M. A qualm.
Guam is a country. It's an island in America.
Q-U-A-M is an island.
Yeah, Guam is an island.
Oh, I didn't know that. But I thought that's the way that word was spelled. Like a qualm is like a type of sort of question that makes you think.
Mm, so that's why you thought it's spelled with Q.
I think so. I got to look this up now.
Yeah, let's look it up on GPT that and
Let's see.
ask it 5 examples of Guam.
So let's see here. I think we talked about this. Didn't we talk about this last week?
We have talked about it, but I don't know if we looked it up.
Yeah, we looked it up. I'm pretty sure, and we got into a pretty lengthy discussion about it. But I don't remember. Okay, what? Let's look up this because I want to figure out what word I'm thinking of. I don't know if it was that word or a different one. But what are some words used to describe a question that makes you think? Okay.
Think deep.
Yeah, think deeply. Um, no, that's not really what we're looking for. I was looking for the types of questions that would be also referred to as riddles. I think sort of like that. Let's see. Ooh, enigmas. That's a great word. Yeah. Okay. What is a qualm? I think that's how I saw it.
AN.
Quandary. Yes, I've heard of that. Somewhat similar sounding word that means a state of perplexity or uncertainty over what to do in a difficult situation. Okay. Quandary. Yes, that's the word,
Quan.
I think. What but you were saying KOAN, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. It doesn't recognize that word because I type it in and it just comes out as a misspelled word.
Yeah, because it's a Japanese word.
Oh. Okay, so what does the Japanese word Quan refer to? Okay, let's see. Okay, concept from Zen Buddhism. Okay, all right. It refers to a paradoxical or puzzling question. Yeah, kind of similar to a qualm, then, isn't it? Or a quandary?
Quandary would be more like a situation that you're trapped in.
Okay, what is the difference between? I guess you're right. What is the difference between a quan and a qualm? Let's see. All right. Okay. Key differences. Well, it's going to cultural context, but okay, fair enough. Purpose and use. Quants are used as a tool for meditation and spiritual enlightenment. Oh yeah. This is like the hand position thing, wasn't it?
Oh no, that was mudra.
Oh, that was a mudra. That's right. Okay. So are used as a tool for meditation and spiritual enlightenment, aiming to push the practitioner beyond logical thought. Quandaries are practical problems that require a decision or solution. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Quans are often paradoxical and meant to be unanswerable by conventional logic, serving to break down mental barriers. Quandaries are typically real world problems that require thoughtful consideration to resolve. Okay, I got it. Now that makes sense to me. That makes more sense. All right. Much better.
Yeah.
Much
So
better.
speaking of mudras, there is actually a new feature in ChatGPT. There are other bots that you can use. So there is one of the bots known as Consensus, which actually researches all the scientific papers,
Okay.
and also it's like real time. So if you if you really want to search anything scientifically or want to verify a research, you can ask Consensus bot, and it will look into all the research papers and get you the results.
Interesting. Consensus. Is that what it's
Yeah,
called? Okay.
yeah. So there's a bot in there. Uh, you might be able to see it in the left column, ChatGPT bots.
Let's see. Um, so maybe if I go to explore GPTs, maybe it'll be in there. Um, oh, they got like a website generator. CK12 Flexi, the world's most powerful math and science AI tutor. Wolfram, Access Computation Math,
I
Curated
love
Knowledge and Real-Time Data. Okay. I'm looking it up. Going through all the by ChatGPT, DALI. I've heard of DALI. Plan to. What did you call it again? Consensus?
Consensus. Yeah.
Humanize AIs for writing, productivity, research and analysis. Maybe it's in here. Oh, here we go. Consensus. Ask the research, chat directly with the world scientific literature, search references, get simple explanations. Okay, cool. Okay. This is kind of cool that they have all these things. So if I click on it, I can just click start chat. Let's see what happens here. Start chat. Oh. All right. So it immediately gives me the option to chat with it within the Chat GPT window. Interesting. Okay. What should we ask it?
Any scientific question that you have on your mind, research related?
Well, since we're already talking about it, um, let's ask it how radiation works or what radiation
That
is.
actually, I think that would be a question for some other bot. That
Okay.
would be for learning math and science, right?
Okay.
So this is basically for research. So if you wanna find the most recent medical development of something,
Ooh.
so
What
this
about,
would be
I got a good one. What about the medical developments that are being done with psychedelics?
interesting. Yeah, we can look into that.
Hmm. So tell me a bit about the scientific studies being conducted regarding psychedelics. Oh, I didn't spell that right. How come? What am I missing here? Psychedelics. Okay, not psychodelics. Psychedelics. Much better. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to rename this. I'm going to rename this consensus. Consensus. So I know. I like to stay organized. I like it when I'm organized. So consensus wants to talk to chat.consensus.app. Always allow. Okay. Ooh. Interesting. So it's typing a whole bunch of stuff here. So introduction. Recent scientific research on psychedelics has shown promising results in various therapeutic applications, including treating mental health disorders and addiction. These studies focus on effects of psychedelics like psilocybin, LSD, and MDMA on the brain and behavior. So it goes into some evidence related to some of these studies. Therapeutic efficacy. Studies have demonstrated that psychedelics can significantly alleviate anxiety, depression, and addiction symptoms. For example, psilocybin-assisted therapy has shown positive outcomes in treating cancer-related psychological distress, depression, and nicotine addiction. Okay, interesting. And goes on and on about different kind of evidences that show how the use of psychedelics can be used to treat all kinds of different challenges that people have. And then a conclusion. Psychedelics hold significant promise as therapeutic agents for a variety of mental health conditions. However, their integration into clinical practice requires further research to addressing existing challenges and ensure safety and efficacy. Cool. Interesting. And it also cites the different studies here.
And I'm sure it's providing some links also if you wanna go and verify.
Exactly. Yeah, it cites which studies it's referring to, and with the citation, it gives a link as well. So kind of cool. Pretty cool. Thank you for introducing me to that. And there's a whole bunch of them. I should look through them. That definitely will be helpful for sure. A lot of these tools.
Yeah, speaking of psilocybin, that's right.
Like psilocybin.
Psilocybin.
Psilocybin. I think that's how you pronounce it. Psilocybin. Let me look again. Psilocybin. Yes, psilocybin.
Psilocybin. Okay.
Yeah.
So psilocybin, I guess, is quite commonly available there in America and Canada too, I guess. Isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
I think it's an over-the-counter.
I don't know. I don't know how accessible it is here. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. I think there's just studies going into it. I think that people, from what I understand, people go to various places in the world to experience psilocybin, and they have like a what's the word? Somebody who guides them. A what are those?
Sherpa.
A Sherpa. Yeah, I think they have like a Sherpa.
So I feel psilocybin is extracted from magic mushrooms, and those are commonly available there. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know if there are. Let's see. Let's go back to general chat with ChatGPT. Where maybe I think it's something different. Oh no, I'm thinking of ayahuasca.
Ah,
Yeah,
ayahuasca simile.
yeah. I was thinking about ayahuasca, not psilocybin. I'm getting so many things mixed up today. So let's see here. So where is I know you're right, but I just want to see what it says. Where is psilocybin most commonly found? Or I should put in what plant? In what form? In what form is I misspelt it. Oh, okay, it's with an I. In what form is psilocybin most commonly found? It's naturally found within certain species of mushrooms, often referred to as magic mushrooms or psychedelic mushrooms. These mushrooms belong primarily to the genus
Yeah.
psilocybe, though other genera like I want to be able to say these words, Panaeolus, Gymnopolis, and Copelandia also contain psilocybin. Okay. All right. Are there places within Canada to get psilocybin prescribed, and can you find it at cafes? Prescribed. PRE. Prescribed.
And a drug.
I don't know. Maybe you can. So it's classified as a Schedule 3 substance under Canada's Controlled Drugs and Substances Act. It can be used for medical. It has medical uses. So you probably have to get it prescribed. I'm guessing it's Special Access Program. In January 2022, Health Canada amended the Special Access Program to allow healthcare practitioners to request access to restricted drugs, including psilocybin for patients with serious or life-threatening conditions. Section 56 exemptions. Individuals and healthcare practitioners can apply for a Section 56 exemption under the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act to use psilocybin for medical purposes. Cafes and dispensaries. While there have been reports of magic mushroom dispensaries and cafes operating in some Canadian cities, notably Vancouver and Toronto, these establishments are operating in a legal gray area and are not officially sanctioned by Health Canada. Aha. Interesting. Okay. So there are places to get there, but they're to get it like at a dispensary, but it's not really. Yeah,
OT.
it's not. There aren't like strict enough regulations, I guess, to ensure that these dispensaries are there or are able to operate or not able to operate. I suppose is what I'm gathering.
So basically, if you can score a prescription, you can get it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, if you get a prescription, yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's really a prescription, but I guess it's like administered by a healthcare practitioner, and they would maybe have to get it themselves, and then they can give it to you, maybe, or I don't know if it's a prescription per se. It didn't really specify. But yeah, interesting. Have you ever done any of these, what are classified as drugs?
Marijuana.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I used to do that a lot when I was younger.
Yeah. So my cousin, he used to get it from somewhere, and I tried it a few times with him.
Okay.
And most of the time, it has been a pleasant experience. Always, like, you know, what you can say, a positive trip.
Mm.
That's how you define it.
For me, I used to do it a lot when I was in my early 20s. And then I started to get super paranoid, like very paranoid. So I stopped
Mm,
enjoying it. So I stopped doing it.
mm, interesting. So
Yeah.
overuse can lead to negative trips.
I think so, potentially. I mean, I was smoking a significant amount, let's say. Yeah, like quite significant all the time.
So
And
yeah,
yeah, it started having like really bad effects. Like I started like thinking that people were evil and like after me. And like I started getting super paranoid. I just get freaked
oh,
out. Yeah.
so you would get thoughts that someone is after you.
Yeah, that the people I'm hanging out with actually are gonna like do something bad to me, or that demons, and they were really actually demons.
Mm,
And if I'd be, I remember there was one time I was driving, which I don't recommend you doing. It's a stupid idea, but I was driving, and because all the cars like that were in front of me, it was at night, so all the cars in front of me have red lights on, and all the cars coming the other way have white lights. So I'm thinking that the way that I'm going is a really bad, like I'm going in a really bad direction because I'm just seeing red light everywhere. And all the white light is going the opposite direction. So I'm thinking that I should be going that direction because there's all white lights. Right? You see? And then I'm like, I got to get out of here. So then I would like get off the road and I turn around and try to go. But then, of course, when you turn back the other way, now it's
I,
all the white lights are going the opposite way again. So I was like kind of just going in circles. And I was like, I just got to go home. I got to go home. I'm freaking out. I just got to go home. So I was supposed to like meet a whole bunch of friends, and I just didn't. I just never. And then the next day they're like, "Where were you?" I'm like, I told them the story. I'm like, I gotta stop this. I can't even like go out anymore and hang out because I'm just freaking out. It was bad. So I just stopped. I stopped, and then sometimes my friends, like I have really good friends who I trust tremendously, and they were like, "Listen, like we'll do it again. I'll be here." Like, all right. So I try it, and then I start getting like super nervous, super anxious. Not really nervous about them. I just get nervous about like how I could potentially get paranoid, and because I'm like worried that I might get paranoid, I'm just like not enjoying the experience. I just want it to be over. Yeah. So I just stopped doing it.
that's yeah, that's freaky, man.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about those cars. Like, what if you had decided to go on the wrong side of the road?
Well, I was
Just
right, but I was definitely in a state of mind where I wouldn't put myself in danger. Like I wasn't like, oh my god, get out of here and just like turn the car off the road. It wasn't like that. It was more like I was. It was very conscious of my decisions. It was just my frame of mind that was very like it was every. I was still very much in control of everything. It's just my decisions were based upon my perception of my environment. So I still like saw and experienced everything as I normally would. It's just my perception of what my reality was different. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. No, but the way you described it, for a moment, I thought you were just about to drive into the wrong way
Oh yeah,
because
yeah, yeah. No, no,
all
yeah, Yeah, for real. Yeah, for real. No, I wasn't like, I was freaked out, but I was still very much in control. So I was like, okay, like I was very analytical. Okay, I got to like, how am I going to handle this situation? I got to not like, I really processed it. Like I got to stop going this direction. Okay, so the closest intersection is over there. It's like, I think you've heard these stories before where you're not like, for whatever reason, I think this is common that people that smoke marijuana or even they ingest marijuana in some aspect, um, they're much more like their thought process slows down a lot. Like in terms of like
Yes.
them thinking much more like step by step. Like, okay, I got to do this, and then I got to do this, and then I got to do this, and then like very like thinking of every step. Like there, I think impulsivity gets reduced. That was my experience, anyways. I was much less impulsive. I was more like, how
It
should I
slows
handle
every
this? Yeah, it slows everything down. Yeah, it's interesting.
and interestingly, within 1 second, you can do much more of thinking,
Mm-hmm.
much more of visualization, much more of imagination when
Mm-hmm.
you are under.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Hmm.
I've had some good and bad both experiences. The bad was, I think, only once when we were doing it in a place in India. It's called Kasol. Kasol is a place which is famous for these kinds of things.
Okay.
So we tried there, and I guess we didn't get a quality strain, and it put us into a negative trip. So
Uh,
we were we were three of us, and we were so scared that we weren't sure that we would wake up alive. That's the kind of paranoia that we got into. We, we weren't going to sleep because we were afraid that we won't wake up.
yep. Yep. Same here. Yeah, I experienced that as well. For sure. Yeah, it's freaky. It freaks you out. Were you able to actually
That's
get to sleep at some point?
the only bad experience I had, and that was the first time for my friends who were doing it with me, and they freaked out.
Hmm.
It was the first for them. So I had done it a few times before, so I was quite still calm on
Right.
the calmer side.
Right.
They really freaked out.
Right. 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 Yeah. That would be freak. That would be freaky for sure. Yeah. Similar experience too with like being nervous about going to sleep. So,
Mm.
um, as this started happening, I was getting paranoid like each and every time I did it. I was really nervous to go to sleep because I also thought like I wouldn't be waking up if I went to sleep. And it took me like even after I had stopped, it took me about 8 or 9 months to get more comfortable with sleeping.
So is that how the insomnia thing began?
Maybe it could be because before then I think sleeping pretty good. Um, but that could be it. That could have been the beginning of it, the beginning of the problem. Yeah, potentially. I think also it didn't help that I used to keep very irregular hours, like working the way I did, like the types of jobs that I had, the types of things I was involved with, like projects, and a lot of them would have me up like all hours of the night. My sleep schedule would get all mixed up, so I think also that didn't help. I think it was a combination of things. Yeah,
Mm. Well, it can be reversed, right?
I think so. I mean, like I said, I like when I use these glasses, it makes a difference. Not all the time, but a lot of the time, it makes a big difference for sure. Yeah. It's much better, much better. But interesting, I've heard that a lot about marijuana. Is that a lot of people that smoke it regularly, it affects their sleep, and it could take them a long time to get into a regular or a proper sleep cycle.
Sometimes I wonder how people can go into, you know, such a deep level of sleep that even when you're shaking them up, they don't get up.
Yeah, it's
I
wild.
mean, I've never had that, or maybe rarely I've had that. I'm the kind of person who wakes up quickly on the alarm sound, or
Mm.
if I set an alarm, I'm the kind of person who would be waking up before the alarm
Yeah. It
on
de-
most time.
it depends. I think if there's a lot of research that's gone into, like, if you keep the same sleep habits. So if you're sleeping going to sleep at the same time every night, waking up at the same time every night, like it'll set your circadian rhythm up effectively. I've also heard things about, like, if you can't sleep one night, rather than forcing yourself to sleep more or trying to, like, force it, if you've noticed that you're just awake, get up and just go, like, get your day started, and just try to stay up if you can that whole entire day, and go back and go to sleep that night when you normally would, at, like, your regular hour. And then, just because sometimes maybe you just don't need as much sleep.
That's true. I do that often. Like sometimes I would wake up way early than required. I
Mm.
wouldn't try to put myself back to sleep. I would just go about my day as usual and then take a nap if needed later on in the afternoon.
Yeah.
That helps.
Right. Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've also heard that naps, though, are not good.
Longer naps definitely not good, but short naps are really helpful.
I think under 20 minutes, 20 minutes and under.
Yeah, those are helpful.
Yeah, I've heard some things about that too. Yeah, so not sure, not sure. All right. Anyways, that's it
Yeah,
for me for today,
sure.
for
Have
this
to
week.
get right now.
Yeah. So I've got the name of today's episode,
The talk show.
Torque Show, and I'll put at Emma Online, Radiation, and Quan versus Quam.
Yeah, but we didn't really talk about Quan too much.
Hmm.
So yeah, we can leave it at torque and what radiation. What else did we talk about?
We talked about psychedelics.
Mhm. Yeah, we did do that. So
Yeah, you like that one more? Let's do psychedelics.
both people are good.
Psychedelics. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Awesome. Anything else you want to say, talk about, do before we end today's episode?
I hope you have good sleep and good dreams.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Emma, I don't
If
know if you're still here. I haven't gotten a message from Emma in a little while, but if you are still here, great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining, and hope to see you again soon. And I guess we should say namaste.
or what? When am I going to get it right?
That was pretty good.
Or
That was pretty good. It was pretty good. Not bad at all.
what? Okay.
Namaste.
Bye. Bye to all viewers,
And no viewers.
whoever you are. Bye.
Bye.